Okay, good morning to those of you on the West Coast and good afternoon on the East. It looks like we have a few more attendees coming in. So we're going to give it just one more minute and then we'll kick off this presentation. So hang tight and I'll get started in just a minute. Thanks. Okay, so let's get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Katie and I'm with Smiota. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day today to attend this 30-minute webinar about the must-have amenity for the COVID-19 era, which is residential smart lockers, which quite literally is more than just for packages. So here's what to expect today. How to make contactless drop-offs and pickups with smart lockers. So we're gonna introduce smart lockers for residential facilities and talk about the benefits for yourself as property managers as well as for your residents. We'll talk about and continue to talk about the full chain of custody. We have a special guest with us today, Dina Everly, who will be doing a Q&A sort of interview with. We'll share some use cases with you as well as opening it up towards the end for Q&A. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm sure you guys are all aware of this. You are on mute and will continue to be on mute. However, we highly encourage you to use the question function or the chat function within Zoom so that we can get your participation, and please ask questions along the way. Again, we have time baked into the presentation for Q&A and look forward to hearing more from you. So let's get started. We believe that smart lockers are more important than ever today and in the future for residential facilities. And here's a few reasons why. And I think that the list can probably go on much longer, maybe 5 more slides, but we kind of narrowed it down to this. It can create a contactless experience for your residents and by using the app. As well as there's such flexibility with the workflows to be able to manage through the holidays, whether it's the holiday season coming up or just a high number or high volume is what we witnessed over the past 8 months or so of just a lot more deliveries that are coming in, and being able to manage that, so multiple deliveries in a single locker for the same recipient, which is really important. There are automated in-app notifications. Again, that app can be crucial to create that contactless pickup as well as the notifications so that you know that your package or your delivery is ready. Integrated package room. It can be integrated with the package room with the smart lockers for overflow cases. So in instances where, perhaps the lockers are filled up or the more or less, what would happen is that it's a large package and maybe it doesn't fit inside the locker. Again, we can have that integrated package room to be able to handle that. And then lastly, just being able to offer antimicrobial options from a materials perspective, whether that's laminate, as well as introducing a UVC disinfection. Moving right along, we have the benefits of smart lockers for your residents. So there's a few things that you're going to hear as a reoccurring theme throughout this presentation, and one of them is that it is more than just for parcel packages. It's going to be more for your Amazon deliveries that we often hear so much about when it comes to residential, and more for along those lines. The contactless pickups via the Smiota app. Again, in the previous picture, you saw I'll just jump back here. You saw the little touch screen. Again, in trying to mitigate shared surfaces and the surfaces that you and your residents touch. Again, it can be that contactless pickup using your Smiota app, their individual smartphone, again, so that you don't need to have that shared surface at all. And it can easily be, the door can easily be closed with the package itself or your elbow. No package theft. Again, a full chain of custody. Oftentimes packages can be left on the floor. They can be mistakenly picked up by somebody else or quite frankly taken. With smart lockers, that is all mitigated. Again, speed of access, as well as convenience. You don't have to wait for somebody to get the package for you if they were, manning a counter, if you will, as well as the convenience of whenever I, as a resident, want to go pick up my package, I have 24/7 access to go pick it up when it's convenient for me. It's also super easy to register to use the service, as well as, again, a full chain of custody, which I'll be speaking more to in a moment. Now, flipping that over to the benefits of smart lockers for the property managers. So think about this in that there is practically zero time spent managing packages when you have smart lockers from the lease office or whomever is managing the packages as they come in from the couriers. With on-site cameras and sensors in every locker, there's a full chain of custody and detailed analytics behind the system. Excuse me. So again, no mistakes, no human error in that the system is completely can be managed, again, full chain of custody so that every package is allocated and counted for. It's easy to train the couriers and even easier to train the residents on how to use the lockers. There's a low total cost of operations and high customer satisfaction. Again, a custom look and feel that can fit right within the look and feel of your property. Or you can make it into a statement with, wraps and such like that, as well as there are API integrations with property management software. Okay, moving right along here. So I mentioned a few times now about how important uh, smart lockers can create that contactless experience. So just a few notes that about the speed of which are able to do that. So there isn't some long ramp up time to be able to use these lockers. It's quite frankly less than 24 hours from installation to usage and onboarding. And your residents can start using these immediately. There is less than 15 seconds to deliver a package or delivery into the locker, and then less than 5 seconds for your residents to pick it up. Again, no waiting in lines, no waiting for somebody to get the package for them. It's quite literally approach the locker with your smartphone, and you can grab your package just like that. From a full chain of custody perspective, I mentioned this a few times, and I just want to really re-emphasize this, is that nothing can get lost, misplaced, or stolen. No one can fool the system into thinking that there was a package that was deposited or to say that there wasn't one, because we have sensors in all of the mechanics of the locker itself to be able to track everything that's going in and out of every single locker opening. And with that, each deposit and pickup is recorded within the analytics, which there's an entire analytics and reporting functionality where you can get down to the detailed minuscule data point, as well as run reports from a usage perspective of how often your lockers are being used, what size of lockers are most often used, all different things that allow you to be able to not only be able to track and see if somebody were to say that something was, taken by accident or stolen, as well as knowing if you need to scale up your efforts or scale down, or if you need to add more locker banks, et cetera, for your system within your property. So again, a full chain of custody so that, again, it mitigates that package lost, misplaced, or stolen. So with that, I'm excited to welcome our special guest, Dina Eberly, works for the Eberly Company as the Managing Director. Dina, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, and if you wouldn't mind just also kind of giving a little bit of background to us for who you are and the Eberly Company.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dina Eberly. I'm Managing Director of the Eberly Company, and I'm dressed for being out in the field today, so I apologize. I didn't get dressed up for you guys, but such is the year of COVID. But what I do is basically I manage properties, mostly multifamily, a little bit of commercial, but mostly multifamily properties in Southern California. We have all different types of properties, all different sizes, all different demographics, areas. And so we are always looking to be, finding out what our residents are looking for and what they need.
Perfect. Cool. So if you don't mind, Dina, I have a few questions for you. I think it's 5. We'll go slide by slide, and hopefully you can share some of the information and experience that you've had with Smiota so far.
Great.
So first question is, can you tell us a little bit about the properties you manage, which you pretty much just did, but really, can you tell us more about what led you to install smart lockers at your properties?
So I manage about 150 properties in Southern California, all different sizes, like I said, from duplexes to 100 units plus. These were 2 properties that we started with, where the owner came to me and said, I'm ready to overhaul these buildings. We want to completely remodel them. Let's look at what it is that our tenants are looking for. And overwhelmingly across the board, people said these smart lockers. They wanted safe package delivery, because so much is online now that we were having a huge issue with, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, with mail theft. A lot of our buildings were having a lot of, porch pirates and people breaking into the mailboxes and trying to steal packages. So these were 2 properties in different areas in Los Angeles, but same owner. One is about 80 units, one is 55 units. And we decided, let's do a test run on these. We looked at a couple of different companies. We landed on Smiota and installed them at the buildings. And that's, how we ended up here.
Great. So you just spoke a lot about the theft of packages, but what did the package delivery process look like prior to lockers? And then if you wouldn't mind, explain to us more about what does it look like now that you have them?
So there was no set process in place at these buildings for package deliveries. We either had these delivery people running all over the building, up in the elevators, in front of unit doors. And you know what? I'm not, I don't want a lot of people in the buildings that don't belong there. I'm not saying most delivery people are wonderful, but I just, it's the less people that we can have running around the building that we don't know, the better. So we either had people up and dropping at individual unit doors, and then packages went missing, or they were just dropping in the lobby, and then opportunistic thieves walking by would walk by the front door, see a bunch of packages in the lobby, and get in to take them. So there wasn't really a set process in place, and that's what we kind of needed to set up.
Sure. So now what does it look like from a process perspective with smart lockers?
So we had a designated area in both buildings because we were remodeling them. We were able to kind of design where we wanted the lockers to go, but actually they fit in just perfectly, and it wasn't a big process to try to find a place for them. We set up exactly what we thought. We worked with Smiota to determine what locker size we would need for the building, and they fit right alongside the mailboxes for the building. And now the delivery people come, we have instructions laminated on the side just in case there's a new delivery person there, but it's really easy and it's really streamlined. And they come in, they drop their packages, the tenants get the notification, and they love it. The tenants could not be happier. It's exactly what they wanted.
Perfect. Cool. I actually have one follow-up question to that since you mentioned it. You said that you worked with Smiota to determine what size lockers you should get. Do you know off the top of your head, like what the ratio was of small lockers to medium to large?
We have, I think, 20 lockers at each property.
Okay.
So we have the same size block at each property. I probably, to be honest with you, nobody could have, known what was going to happen this year, but I probably would have gone a little bit larger if I would have known.
Very good. Okay, so you mentioned that you looked at a few different locker vendors, that you landed on Smiota. What made you choose, at the end of the day, Smiota?
I liked the ease of use. I felt that very simple. It was very easy to use. That you could, that any delivery person could come and learn it in 10 seconds. And the customer service was fantastic. I actually visited another building in Los Angeles that had it just to see how they worked, and and I thought, this is the package company that we were going to go with. And I have to tell you that I actually just took over another brand new construction in Los Angeles, that they had already signed a contract with another company.
Mhm.
So now I'm working with two different companies right now, and I still would choose Myota.
Great. What was the feedback? I mean, you already mentioned that it was super easy, you have laminate instructions, but what was the feedback from your couriers, property management, residents? Did you get any feedback once you had these installed?
Everybody loves it. I don't really have many complaints at all. Um, it's sometimes the lockers will fill up when people are traveling in the holidays and things like that.
Mhm.
But I've set it up with the managers, so the managers can go in if they need to and empty the lockers. If residents, let's say residents leave them for 3+ days, then I'll have the manager go in and pull that package out and deliver it to the unit.
Okay, very good. All right, I believe that this is the last question, but do you see, excuse me, do you see potential for smart locker applications at your properties to extend beyond just package delivery, such as food, refrigerated, freezer, grocery, dry cleaning?
Absolutely. Yeah. If space permits, I think that the residents would be so happy with that, to be able to be at work and order their groceries and come home and have those groceries there waiting for them. 100%.
Definitely a convenience factor there. Very good. Yeah, that was the last question. I know that you do have a hard stop. I hope that you can stay on the line if we do have any questions along the way. But thank you so much for your sharing your experience, Dina. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And yeah, I can hang out for a couple minutes if anybody has any questions.
All right, perfect. So we have just a couple more use cases to share, and then a little bit about, again, touching on the, excuse me, the way that lockers can be used beyond just package delivery, and then we get right into Q&A. So super high level here, use case 2 Hopkins Apartments in Maryland. What I'd like to emphasize here is that this is one of our first installations with actual refrigerated lockers for perishables such as grocery food. They've been working with us since August of 2017. With that, again, just a few stats at a high level. Over the time, there have been a number of 600 recipients. There's 70 doors on the locker bank, of which it's installed at. 62 are for dry or the package parcel. 8 of them are refrigerated, with a total of just under 67,000 transactions, of which 750 of them were grocery and food. So again, just some stats and how definitely this facility is leveraging the smart lockers, and definitely also the refrigerated or grocery aspect of it. And then the second use case, again, just to share some stats, is E&S Ring in California. The part that we wanted to mention here is how we have multiple locations across the state where our smart lockers are installed, and it really kind of speaks to the scale of which we were able to excuse me, customize and provide workflows that fit within each one of those unique properties. And so specifically some stats here of just shy of, across all the excuse me, different properties, just shy of 10,000 recipients, of which it's just shy of 360,000 transactions that have happened in all these locker banks across the way. So they're definitely getting their usage. These did not include any refrigerated or freezer ones. However, obviously there continues to be an uptick when it comes to packages being ordered and deliveries being needed. So again, just to emphasize how, when we think of smart lockers, especially with residential, we often think of the package parcel e-commerce purchases. But what we really want to do is really try to get you thinking differently, as we just mentioned with Dina, as to how her residents can be using these lockers differently going forward. But looking at the food and the grocery deliveries, looking at pharmaceutical deliveries, dry cleaning, groceries, and anything local merchant. And part that we really want to emphasize is that it's all within the same platform. You don't need a different locker bank to be able to deliver food and grocery, or your pharmaceuticals, or your drying and your dry cleaning and your packages. It can be all within the same platform. Which then leads me to last but not least here is being able to boost the local economy with the Smiota ecosystem, again, because it can be all on the same platform. And being able to do that is, your property potentially can partner with local merchants to be able to deliver directly into the lockers, which can provide instant gratification for your residents for, again, that same day delivery. Day delivery is really key right now. It obviously provides that safe and contactless access to your local merchants, especially in the wake of COVID. People not necessarily wanting to go out to the stores. And being able to do that, again, contactless drop off and that contactless pickup. Access to food and grocery deliveries with refrigerator or freezer lockers. And then obviously couriers can deliver the orders right into the lockers, as I previously mentioned. So again, just something to think about from a local economy perspective, and how that can also help boost that. So with that, we have had a ton of different questions that have come in along the way, so we appreciate that. I'm going to start with a few here. I'm actually going to introduce Wahid. He oversees our marketing and sales. He will be answering probably the vast majority of these questions. So welcome, Wahid. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the very first question that we have from Jeff here is, how does Smiota deal with the issue of delivery people not using the system properly, opening the system for one tenant and loading packages for others as well? Do you work with carriers on the proper use of the system?
It's a great question. And, this has always been for a lot of vendors who are smart locker companies, this training the couriers has always been a challenge. The way we addressed it is looked at it from an app perspective. If you look at most apps, the easier you make them to use, the more people use them, right? If you take any of the apps that you download on your iPhone or your Android devices. So one is to make it very simple and make it very quick, so that the couriers are always in a rush. They want to come in and drop off a lot of packages and leave. The second thing for us is because we have sensors, it's not easy to just open the doors and throw in a whole bunch of packages. The process of scanning, selecting the username and scanning the QR, the tracking ID, that process helps. But at the end of the day, I think we see that if you rate them, all the standard couriers like FedEx, UPS, and others actually do a fairly good job. And now Amazon couriers are probably below that in terms of sometimes leaving packages. We work a lot with the property managers to make sure that they train, they talk to the couriers and let them know that they should load packages properly into lockers. So it's always an ongoing process. You will not always get 100% of the couriers to use the system. So the method to improve it is to make it as simple as possible for them.
Great. There was another similar question, just want to acknowledge it. It came from Dan, which I believe you just answered, but what is the workflow of the couriers storing the packages, and how do the couriers know how to use the lockers?
Yeah, I think like I addressed, make it very simple, have a set of instructions on there. And if you look at, there are Amazon type of lockers, there are Smyra lockers, there are lockers from competitors as well. So almost a lot of Class A and many apartments are that have lockers, give them the convenience of not going to every apartment and dropping off packages. So it really drives the couriers to use them. And they're basically two simple flows, right? So you come in, you scan a code which says you're a courier, and you start selecting the name of the person, you scan the tracking ID, and you drop off the package. So that whole process, like we said, is less than 15 seconds, and we are constantly working on improving that speed.
Great. So Dimitri asks, and this alludes to some of what Dina shared with us, which again, thank you so much for your time today, Dina. We really appreciated your insight. But what's the process on deciding and identifying the size and modification of lockers needed for a property?
That's a great question. Again, what we look at is historical data. Being in this business for so long, and some of the data that you pointed out, Katie, there, that we have hundreds of thousands of packages processed through our system. So we look at that data, and we have our recommendations typically, which we use. And because it's a modular solution, what we always do is come up with a standard set of lockers, and then if they are based on our data trends and analysis we see in the back end, we can recommend these modules to be added in case, or replaced in case the size is off. But so far, what we have seen is our trend analysis and in the back end that we've done has been spot on. We haven't had a situation where there was the wrong set of lockers used. So that's one thing we've seen. And then we also pad extra lockers for the growth. And so that allows us to make sure that there's enough space in the lockers.
Okay, great. Dimitri had a follow-up question to ask, what happens when all the lockers are full? Where do the couriers
Yeah.
deliver the
Well,
packages to?
this we learned through a process. So we started seeing that during the holiday season, you can never plan for enough lockers, right? And that's like an anomaly. So you'll see the spike, and then it comes back to normal delivery patterns. So what we did was we did have a locker overflow option that we enabled. And so in that case, all of the tenants get notified that there is a package, but it's not in the locker, and it gets stored in a package room. So the overflow goes into a package room, and where tenants can go and recipients can go and pick up their packages from that room, right? So we still use the system to notify, which is the most important thing. And then having a separate package room, or sometimes they leave it in the lease office. It all depends on how the area has been managed by the properties, right?
We have two more questions. So if anybody else has additional questions, please feel free to put them into the chat or the Q&A function, and we'll try to get to those. So the next one was, what kind of security features are implemented to avoid kids getting trapped in the, let me reread this, sorry.
By accident.
Yes, by accident.
Well, that's a good question. So all of our doors are auto open, right? And so what happens is that they don't self lock. So unless they are for refrigerated lockers, which are pretty small, so it's very hard for someone to get into a refrigerated locker. So these are self opening. So they only open when you are in the process of depositing or picking up a package. So unless the likelihood of a kid getting trapped in is very unlikely unless somebody does that on accident, right? So we do have air vents in the back of the locker, so that even if there is an issue like that, we can address it. And then we do have, every locker has an emergency access panel, so you can very quickly unlock them through the emergency latch release process.
Okay. And then our last question, I believe, is considering the COVID pandemic situation, how can we make sure lockers were clean and good enough to hold residents' packages?
It's a great question from Hari, I think. So we have constantly worked on new innovations that allow us to kind of meet the requirements of the times. So what we've done is we have enabled a solution with UVC, so we can on request have lockers with UVC integrated in it. So in that case, every time a locker is used, we can sanitize it through ultraviolet ray technology. And knowing that it's very safe because only the technology is turned on when the doors are closed, and and you can turn it on even when there's a package in there or when the locker is empty. So that allows you to make sure that there's sanitization. So that's on, and so if you're interested in learning more, we can have a separate conversation on that technology.
Perfect. We have just a couple more with my warning that came up, but what happens with packages that are never picked up by residents?
Got it. So what we do is we work with the property managers to set up policies. So some policies require that we send a reminder to them. So we do have automated reminder system, messaging system in our backend. So let's say it is less than 48 hours, we send them two reminders. Then we let them know that some property managers decide to charge a fine to just make sure that the lockers are occupied by just one package, that there's movement and there's flow of packages coming through. So we do provide in the back end a report, so you can actually see how many days every package is where, and you can set the watermark, right? Give me a report of all the residents who didn't pick up the package for beyond 48 hours. So, and then based on your policy, you can either send them a fine, or we can even work on creating a process where they can be fined if that's what you've determined to do.
Perfect. We had a few more come in. Again, thank you everyone for your participation and questions and inquiries. How would a power outage or internet outage be addressed? In general, if there's a mechanical or electrical issue with the lockers, things do break occasionally, would that be addressed? Or how would
So,
that be?
yeah, I mean, very rarely does power go down. And if power goes down, we do have the mechanical release for emergency pickup. So the property managers do have access to opening the lockers mechanically when the power goes down. When the internet goes down, we do have a backend warning system. So what we do is we typically work very quickly with the IT teams to get it up and running, and then we work with the property managers to get the internet back. We do have an option we are working on for called the offline mode, where you can still continue to pick up packages from the system, but the new deposits will not happen until we get back online. So there are different methods to address the power outage or internet outage.
Okay, great. What happens when a resident leaves the door open?
So we typically have sensors, two types of sensors. We can sense if the door is open or closed, and we also sense when the package is in the locker or not, right? So if the door is left open, we do have a reminder process or a timer that goes on and reminds. So we've typically seen two options. We normally have surveillance cameras in most of our packages, and we've seen if the door is open, there's a message put on a panel saying on the screen that door is open. So most of the time, either when a courier comes in, they close the door, or when we also notify the local staff there that there is through a email note or a text message that somebody's left the door open to come and close the door. But we don't accept transactions in an open door without going through the system flow.
Just a couple more questions. I had mentioned this earlier about integration of property management software. So how do the smart lockers integrate with property management software?
So we have a very simple backend integration method through ERD, through APIs, through CSV files. So we provide our property managers and we work with them with basically the system that they use, like whether it's RealPage or Entrata or ERD. And we have pre-prepared scripts and which are very securely uploaded into our backend. And once you enable the script uh, on a regular basis, whether it's daily or once in 2 days, the data is automatically uploaded. So we are in sync with all the new tenants coming in and removing the tenants that have left the property.
Okay. Our last question from Jeff. Do you have a service agreement for maintenance and repairs? And if so, how does that work?
Yes, so we fully back our product through a service agreement that's annually renewed. And the way we provide for 24/7 on remote call and customer support for any known issues. We also provide on-site technical staff within 24 hours to come in and service any physical or mechanical or electronic problem with the lockers. And so in that way, and since they are modular, we can very easily keep the lockers functioning even if one of the doors don't function normally, and then we would immediately come and fix um, any technical issues. So far we've been able to, and we do have global, but also very specifically US support across the country. So within 24 hours, anywhere in the country, we can send technicians.
Perfect. Well, that wraps up our Q&A. Thank you so much, Wahid. I greatly
Thank you.
appreciate that. So everybody who's left on the webinar, here's what you can expect next. We'll be sending you out a follow-up email with a recording of this webinar, as well as our residential brochure and a survey. And then certainly, if you have questions that pop up after you get off of this call, if you have inquiries, if you're interested in having a conversation with anybody with Smiota, please feel free to email us at sales@smiota.com or the phone number that's listed there, or obviously please visit our website, smiota.com. So with that, again, thank you everyone. Thank you, Dina, for joining us. Thank you, Wahid, for answering all of those questions. And most importantly, thank you everyone who has attended today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. And we wish you the best. Stay well, and everyone take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Take care. Bye-bye.